Hi, and welcome to Session 8 of Learn and Master Guitar. Here we're going to talk about some very key concepts in your guitar learning, your guitar knowledge. We covered the bar chords on the 6th string. Now we're going to cover the bar chords on the 5th string. There are bar chords on other strings, but generally, once you've covered the 6th and the 5th, you've pretty much got a good handle on what you need to do. So you're halfway there. If you've made it to this far through the 6th string bar chords, we've got 5 more forms we're going to learn in the 5-string bar chords, and then you are set and ready to go. Okay? In our How Music Works section, we're going to cover a couple of key concepts dealing with keys and key signatures, how to determine a key, how to derive that information from the major scale, and then a very important information as you begin playing with other musicians and playing in different settings is how to determine the key from just looking at a piece of music. Okay, so we're going to learn that skill too. There's a couple of tricks for that. And that's basically all we're going to cover this time. Lots of exciting things to learn this week as you seek to become the musician that you've always wanted to be. So I'll see you there. Okay, the first thing we need to do as we need to cover these 5th string bar forms that we're going to come up on is we need to talk about hand position again. Just review. Proper hand position is so vital to what we're doing. What you need to remember, keep that first finger straight. If you're angling back on your the neck of your guitar like this, you're not going to be able to get the power that you need, even though you think you're getting a whole lot of power, but you're not getting the power where you need, which is in that first finger. Make sure that first finger is nice and strong. Okay, you need to take your finger to the gym for these little muscles by doing those finger exercises. That's what toughens them up, and to where it can do what it needs to do. You'll find that these 5th string bar forms are a little bit easier than the 6th string bar forms that we've covered. Make sure that wrist is forward and low. Temptation is to bring it back. You want it down. Not completely whacked out, not uncomfortable, but it needs to be good, solid down when you're playing to have a good hand position. Remember, your hand position should still be balanced. Our fingers, even though we're playing bar chords, they still should be coming at, not angled like this, but coming straight on, like that. Okay? Now, when you move between chords, let's say I'm going from a G chord to an A chord, I don't want to make the G chord and then completely reset to make the A chord. I want to shift, not reset my fingers when I'm moving these chords in between positions. If I go from a G to an A, I just lift the pressure off and bring it up to an A, put the pressure back down again. You want to try and avoid, as we're getting now more and more chords, not to have to reset and take your hand off, find the place, then reform the chord. Just move to where you need to go. Keep the hands basically, your fingers basically in the same position, and then you're ready to hit it. Okay? Now, let's talk about the notes on the 5th string. That's where it all starts. Remember how we did the notes on the 6th string? Now we're going to learn the notes on the 5th string. Okay? This is the A string. Same rules still apply. Half step between what 2 pairs of notes? E and F and B and C. So let's count it up on the A string. You ready? A, B, C. You should already know those. Now we need a whole step up to a D. Now we want to go to an E. That's a whole step. Now we want to go to F. That's one of our half steps. We need to go to G. That would be a whole step. And A, up here at the 12th fret, that would be a whole step. Remember the magical 12th fret. That's where everything starts repeating. So that's where we would expect an A to be. Okay? Is right there at that 12th fret. Let's do it up one more time. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Let's go ahead and go back down. You try and say them and play them as we're doing this. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Now, just like we had 5 forms of the 6-string bar forms, we're going to have 5 forms of our 5th string bar forms now. Let's review the 6th string first. We have our F. We learned our F minor. We learned our F7. We learned our F minor 7th. And we learned our F suspended. Okay, one more thing before we dive into these 5th string bar forms. Let's give you a little bit more practice at jumping around on that 5th string. So I'm going to say a note, you try and find it. Okay, we're going to do our jumping around again. What if I said C? Where's the C at on that 5th string? Okay, right there at the 3rd fret. Let's jump around a little bit. What about an F? Where would an F be? You find it, count it up. C, D, E, F. What about a B flat? Well, that gets down to our first position. We should be pretty familiar with that. B flat. What about E flat? Let's count it up. A, B, C, D, E, flat. Right there at the 6th fret. Let's do a couple more. A flat. Where would A flat be? Well, there's A. I can't get any lower that way. So the answer's not that way. The answer's up high. 12th fret, there's an A. A flat is there. Okay? A couple more. D sharp. D sharp. A, B, C, D. D sharp would be there. Now let's jump around on both strings for a second. Okay? If I want you to find a G on both strings, where would it be? Well, here's a G here on the 6th string, and the G on the 5th string would be way up here. What if I wanted a C on both of those strings? Well, C on the 6th string is here. C on the 5th string is there. Let's do 2 more. E flat. Well, E flat on the 6th string, it's not at the 12th fret, it's at the 11th fret, 1 fret down. And on the 5th string, it would be at the 6th fret. Okay, one more. What do you say? About an F sharp. It's the 2nd fret on the 6th string. At the, 9th fret on the 5th string. Jumping from string to string is going to be an important concept when we start putting these forms together. Now, let's talk about the 5 forms that are based off the 5th string. Okay, on the 5th string bar chords, the first one I want to take a look at is B minor. Okay, B minor. Okay, that we bar we bar 5 strings with our first finger. If you want to overshoot it a little bit, that's fine. You can bump into that 6th string as long as you don't play it. When you're playing down here, we just get 5 strings. Okay, so he's barring all of those. Now I need my 3rd finger on that 4th fret, pinky underneath him, and that 2nd finger on that. Now, just make sure that you're basing these off of the 2nd fret, because remember B is on that 2nd fret. So where F, we were down here at this 1st fret, and we've pretty much done everything down at the 1st fret. For these, we shift up a little bit, and the B, we're pivoting off of this B, so our first finger is actually on that 2nd fret position. Okay? So there's B minor. What about B 7th? Well, I take my 2nd finger off, and I put my pinky down on that 2nd string. Okay, do it one more time. Make sure all these notes are sounding out nice and clear. What's left? B minor 7th. Well, I put my 2nd finger down, take my pinky off again. Got my bar down nice and strong. If it sounds a little buzzy on a couple of notes, try and get good position on it. Strengthen up that 1st finger a little bit. We got B minor 7th. Now, B suspended is the next one I want to cover. That has my pinky down like on the B 7th, but I shift my pinky out a half a step. Wow, so I got a pretty good stretch on that one. That's a B suspended. Okay, and I'm just hitting the 5 strings. Don't accidentally hit that 6th string. Accuracy counts in guitar playing. You're just going for 5 strings. Make sure you get all 5. And you got to stretch that pinky out a little bit. Get him loosened up. Remember, we can always do our finger exercise, strengthen that, limber up that hand a little bit. If your pinky doesn't want to do that initially, remember, limberness in your hand takes time, just like stretching takes time. If you wanted to start stretching with big muscles, same way with little muscles. Even though you may not be able to get that right now, that doesn't mean you're ever going to get it. It just means you need to limber up that hand a little bit. B suspended. Now, the last one I want to cover is B. Now, you may think, well, that should have been the first. Well, there's a couple little problems with B. There's 2 different ways you can finger it. If you'll notice the first fingering down there, I've got a bar all the way here, and then I've got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all squinched in here on that 4th fret, and they're all squinched right underneath each other, which is pretty tricky to get when you're just starting out. So that's the accurate way to play that. Now that may be a little tricky for you. An easier way, not quite as accurate a way to play it, but an easier way, and a lot of guys use it, so it's nothing wrong with it, is they take this B, and then they just bar all 3 of these with your 3rd finger. See that? So instead of doing this, they just bar that. Now, the problem is that you can't play that last string. You end up with a dead string there. So, or if you're sloppy, you bar the whole thing and you end up with the wrong chord. So you either got to get off of that string or don't play that last string. Okay? So this way you can play all 5 of them. With this form, you just do the inside 4. See how that works? Okay? Those are basically the 5 forms. Let's go through a couple of the exercises that you have in your book. Okay, let's look at some of those bar chord exercises on the 5th string, using our 5th string bar forms. Okay? Number 1 starts out with that B minor. Okay? Here we go. Form it, finger nice and straight, wrist low and forward. Here we go. B minor, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. Now you need to slide up just 1/2 step up to C minor. Remember we talked about sliding? Don't reposition every note. Just let up the pressure, scoot up your hand a 1/2 step. Now you're at C minor. Now we're going to scoot up to D minor. 2, 3. One more scoot up to E minor. Let's jump back down to B minor. Good. See how that works? If you try to reset your chord every time, you'll find that slows you way down. Just practice that a little bit, playing the chord, releasing it. You don't need to bring your fingers off of the strings, just release the pressure. Shift your hand up to where it needs to be, put the pressure back down. It's a lot more efficient in your chording with that. Let's look at number 2. Starts on that B minor again. Ready, play. Now C major. So I shift up to C, and if I can squeeze all my fingers in there, I get C major. Then I go back down to B minor. Now I shift up to D. I'm going to use that other form. But I have to remember, don't hit that last string. Okay, let's do that one again. B minor. C. B minor. D. Good. Now, let's shift it up a little bit. Let's skip over to number 5. Okay? Let's see. Number 5 starts on that E flat. Right here. Ready? Go. 2, 3. C minor 7th. Jump down to C. Just continue that same rhythm. Then F minor 7th. Big jump up to the, what is that, 5th, 6th, 7th fret? 8th fret. big jump down to B flat sus, all the way at the end. Bring that pinky out. B flat 7, E flat. All right. Now, this time in our How Music Works section, we're going to talk about major scales. Okay? Remember the major scale pattern that we talked about. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, 2 wholes and a half, 3 wholes and a half. Now, you'll notice as you did all of those, and hopefully you did them and did them and did them, as you did all those, you came up with a certain combination of sharps and flats for each particular key. That's what we're going to talk about now. That's key signatures. Now, when we talked earlier, in some of the earlier sessions, I just mentioned that at the beginning of a piece of music, sometimes you'll see a sharp just right after the clef sign, something like that. That's what that is. That's a key signature. Now we're going to tell you why that key signature is there, how that key signature is developed. It's not just random that in a particular song, let's say there's an F sharp in the key signature, that all Fs are sharp. We're going to determine that that's actually in the key of G, and the key of G has 1 sharp in it from our scales that we learned last time, and that sharp is always F sharp. Sharps and flats come in a specific order as you're writing them in key signatures. The first sharp, no matter whether I have 1 or 7, is always going to be F sharp. Think of it like a pyramid. The key with 1 sharp, it would be F sharp. Then if you had 2 sharps, it would be F sharp and C sharp. Then if you had 3 sharps, it would be F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. They build on each other like that. So I wouldn't put them out of order. If you start thinking of them out of order, it won't make sense when you're looking at key signatures. They come in a very specific order. F sharp is first, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and so on from there. Okay, so order is very important. Now, we talked about major scales. Now I'm going to adjust it a little bit, and we're going to talk about minor scales. Now, there's all kinds of different minor scales. I play guitar for a living. I don't use all of those scales. The only other minor scale other than a natural minor I have ever used is a harmonic minor. Some guys get all busy and bent out of shape learning all these different minor forms. You don't need to know that. How I think of minor scales, it's not a whole new world. You relate everything back to a major scale. A major scale, let's take a C major scale. It goes from C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C to C. To get a minor scale from that, I go down, actually think of it like a number line. You know, it starts at C and then it just goes to C and then keeps going. If I want to get a minor scale, I just take that major scale and I shift it down a couple of steps. 2 steps. So now I'm still in the key of C, no sharps or no flats, but I'm starting on an A. So I'm going now from A to A, not from C to C. But I'm still in the key of C, no sharps or flats. So I end up with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. That is a minor scale, what we call in the business a natural minor scale. Okay? Those are built off of the major scales. There's a special relationship between that minor and the major scale. It's called parallel. We hear that term floated around a lot. We'll talk a lot about that. Something is a parallel major or a parallel minor. What that means is if I'm in the key of C and I want to get to the minor key, I can either go down 2, or it's probably easier for you to think of it if I go to the 6th step of a C major scale. That would be A, right? C, D, E, F, G, A. Now I'm at A. A minor is the parallel major of C major, and vice versa. If I'm in C major and I want the parallel minor, it's A minor. If I'm in A minor and I want the parallel major, it's C major. Okay, let's figure out another one. What if I'm in F major? What would be the parallel minor of F? Major. Well, I just go up to the 6th step, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and that would be my parallel minor with that. See how that works? Now, let's talk about keys a little bit. Okay, we touched on keys and key signatures a little bit earlier. So now let's put it into work. For example, In the key of F, when you were doing your scale, you had what was different, what had a sharp or flat by it. Well, you'll notice the fourth step, B flat, is the only thing that had a flat or sharp in it. So we would say that the key signature for the key of F has one flat, B flat. Let's do another one. So if the key signature has two sharps in it, an F sharp and a C sharp, then we are in the key of D. Now let me tell you a very important trick that you can learn. How to tell what key a piece of music is in. There's two different ways we're going to talk about it. In your first example there, you'll see that the key signature has an F sharp in it. Therefore, if you go back to the scales, you'll know that the only key that has one sharp in it is the key of G. So you can solve it that way by knowing your scales. The second example, let's do that. It has a B flat, E flat, and an A flat. Well, what scale uses a B flat, E flat, and A flat? Well, that would be the key of E flat. Okay? Here's another trick that's a little bit easier to learn how to tell what keys a piece of music in. Okay? It has two different parts of it. First part of it is in sharp keys. For sharp keys, the rule is how to tell a key. The key is 1/2 step up from the last sharp in the key signature. I'll say that again. The rule is, for sharp keys, the key is 1/2 step up from the last sharp in the key signature. For example, if the key signature has an F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp, then the last sharp is a G sharp. That's the one you're looking at. 1/2 step up from a G sharp is A. So the key is A. Okay? What about for flat keys? Well, here's the rule for flat keys. The rule says the key is the next to last flat in the key signature. So you take the key signature and derive it from there. So for example, if the key signature has a B flat, E flat, and an A flat in it, the next to last flat is E flat. That's the one you're looking at. So the key is E flat. Learning your major scales and the keys that come from them takes time. Like learning your multiplication tables, we talked about that. You just can't solve them one time and expect to know them. You've got to do them over and over and over again until they get to be memorized. Build these scales. Look at the flats and sharps they use. Look at the key signatures and take some time to memorize them. Okay? Here's our assignment for this week. Your assignment is learn the 5 forms that we did on the 5th string, those 5th string basic bar forms. Okay? We're going to learn a new song, Jamaican Farewell. The main name might not be familiar, but I'm pretty sure that the melody will be familiar to you. We're going to do it in 2 different keys, F and G. Okay? Complete those key signature worksheets that we have in your book, and I'll see you at the workshop. Okay, welcome to the workshop time. Let's get some working knowledge of all these concepts that we talked about. Okay, first thing we're going to do is review all of your basic bar chord forms. Our 6-string forms, let's go through those. Let's go through them like we're in the key of A. Okay, so play an A. A minor, A 7th, A minor 7th, A sus. Okay, got those 5 forms. Now we're going to do the ones in on the 5th string forms that we learned. Let's do those in B. So we've got our B, either way that you want to finger that. We've got B minor, B 7th, B minor 7th, and B sus. We'll go through those one more time. B, B minor, B 7th, B minor 7th, and B sus. Okay, now take a look at some of the basic bar chord exercises for the 5th string. Let's go through a couple of those. Let's start with number 1. B minor starts it. Ready? Go. 2, 3, 4, C minor. Remember, just slide up. D minor, 2, 3, E minor, 2, 3. Let's do it again. B minor, jump down, 2, 3, 4. C minor, D minor, E minor. Number 2, let's go. B minor, ready, play. C, back to B minor. Repeat it. Number 3, ready, go. Try and move as fast as you can between these chords. E minor 7th, C, another one, 2, 3, 4. Take a look at number 4, 2, ready, go. Let me stop you. When you're strumming, you're accurate going down, remember, 5 strings, but when you come up, you just hit a couple of them. Okay, so you're still doing down and up, but you're going accurate going down, but you just hit a couple of them coming up. Okay, armed with that information, let's try number 4. Ready, go. Okay, let's skip down to number 6. Okay, number 6 starts at a G way up at the top of your neck. Okay, I'm going to use the alternate form because it's probably a little bit easier for me to do it rather than squeezing all your fingers in like that. The higher you get up the neck, of course, the less space you have, so you may need to kind of do some of that. Okay, number 6. Ready, go. Down, up, up. E flat, D, D sus, back to D, and a G, 2, 3. Let's do that again. G, D sus, D, G, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do 7. Our last one here. We'll pick it up a little bit. Starts on that B flat. Ready, go. One more time, 7, and go. Now just for fun, let's take it up a little bit faster. Ready, go. Very good. Okay, now let's take a look at our song, Jamaican Farewell. Okay, we're going to first do it in the key of F. What does the key of F have in it? 1 flat. Okay, let's take a look at the melody first. I'll play it one time through slowly, and then we'll do one time through fast. Starting it slowly in F. Ready, go. Rest, rest. Very good. How'd you do? All right, now let's play through it one time fast. Ready, go. Rest, rest. Great. Okay, now we're going to play it through one time in G, and we'll play it at the faster tempo now that you've got a handle on it. Okay? Ready, go. Rest, rest. Okay, now let's do the chords. I want you to try and use bar chords on this rather than doing the open chords. I know you can do the open chords, but let's get some bar practice on all this stuff. Okay? Just do one chord for each bar. Measure at this point. Okay? Starts on a G. Ready? Go. 2, 3, C. Now I would jump down to the 5th string and do the C there. D 7th. Then back to G, down low. Generally I want to try and keep things low. So I don't want to jump to that 8th fret. I want to stay right at that 3rd fret because things are more comfortable down there. One more G here. 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Last line. C, 2, 3. Here forget G for 2 beats, D for 2 beats, and back to G. Very good. Just for a second, let's talk about key signatures and keys. Okay? Remember how parallel major and minor work? And in order to find a parallel minor, you go down 2 steps from a major scale, or you can go up 6 steps. Either way, it gets you to the same note. So a C major, remember, would equal an A minor.